بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.
And this has to do with the issue of wasila. We believe in Imam Hussein and Imam Zainul Abidin as the Imams. We believe in Abbas as a very important personality who actually submerged his entire life to the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as manifested in the will of the Imam of the time. They are worthy of our consideration as far as wasila is concerned. This concept of wasila, looking for those who can intercede on our behalf for our du'as with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this is a concept which is accepted not only by the Shias, but also the common Sunnis as well as the Sufis. They believe that Rasul and Ali Rasul and many others who are considered to be the awliya of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like Hazrat Abbas, because of their status, they have the ability to become our wasila. We don't worship them. This is where the Wahhabis don't understand this phenomenon. We do not worship them. We consider them to be the wasila. Wasila means we seek their good word with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for fulfillment of our wishes and our du'as. That they help us. They are not partners of Allah. In this process of shafa'at and wasila, the wasila and the shafi becomes our partner. There is no partnership in divinity and with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In Surah Ma'idah ayat 35, where it says, O you who believe, ittaqullah, fear displeasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wabtaghu ilayhi liwasila, and seek wasila towards Him. And a wasila basically means, the intercessor, somebody who will in between, not in the act of worship, but for fulfillment of our du'as. When you bring this ayat and many other ayat, for example, there are two very clear ayat where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the Prophet being the wasila. For those who committed sins, Allah says, go to Muhammad, ask him to do dua for you. It's amazing. He doesn't say, you pray to me directly. You have a direct line with me. No, he says, go to Muhammad, ask him to pray for your forgiveness. And you will find me to be Tawwab and Rahim, forgiving and merciful. And when you present this ayat to the Wahhabis, they say, well, we believe in Rasulullah as the wasila as long as he was alive. They also say on the day of Qiyamah, he will become our shafi and wasila. But now that he is dead, he can't do anything. That's now another discussion, where we say, well, the shuhada of Islam, according to Qur'an, are alive, and you are saying that they have that privilege to be alive even after shahadat, but Rasulullah is dead, he can't do anything. This is where they don't understand the spiritual, superiority and position of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Just, go to one example from Surah Luqman. A very simple example of wasila. Sometimes we think wasila is a very, out of the world issue. No. In Surah Luqman, ayat number 14, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is addressing us. And He says, وَوَصَّيْنَا الْإِنسَانَ بِوَالِدَيْهِ. The first advice there He says, we have enjoined to the human being regarding their parents, that you have to be kind, to your parents. And then, as if in brackets, He singles out the mother out of the parents to emphasize her sacrifice and her right on the children. And He says, حَمَلَتْهُ أُمُّهُ وَحْنًا عَلَى وَحْنٍ وَفِصَالُهُ فِي عَامَيْنِ. That remember that the mother carried, the child in the womb with difficulties and then even fed him or her for 2 years. And then what? Then he says, Anashkuru li wali walidayk. Then he says, I enjoin you to thank me and to thank your parents. Look at the wordings. Anashkuru li. Allah says, I would like you to thank me, be grateful to me. Wali walidayk, and be grateful to your parents. What is going on there? When we were in the womb of the mother, Allah was the provider. Allah is the raziq. But it came through the wasila of the mother. When we were born, for a time, it is again the mother who is providing the nutrition for us. The rizq is coming from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is the raziq. But He doesn't send the rizq to us directly. It comes through the mother. And then later on, even father becomes part of this process, where he provides for the children. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that although I am the provider, raziq is only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but He says, Anishkuru li, thank me, but not only me. Wali walidayk, and also thank your parents who were the wasila for my rizq and sustenance which reached to you. Those who become afraid, oh, maybe you are putting Allah on the same level as the wasila, but here this is what Allah is doing Himself. At least on this demand of being grateful and to thank, He says, Anushkuru li wali walidayk. So this concept of tawassul that we have, it's not something that we had to really worry about. But time and again, we get these statements from people, even from within the community sometimes, where we are told that, when you do tawassul, you should only pray to Allah, do dua only to Allah. There is no need for the wasila, because this is shirk. Using the words that Wahhabis used against us. Sometimes we hear, well, you want to say, Ya Ali, say it privately, don't say it publicly. So saying it privately is tawheed. Saying that publicly is shirk. You just think about what people are saying. When we say Ya Ali, it doesn't mean He is God and He is the provider. No. Yes, He can become the wasila in between. Allah, chose these individuals to become the wasila for our ni'mat. There is actually a statement from Amir al-Mu'mineen in his letter to Muawiyah where he says, don't try to compare us with others. Because Allah's blessing comes to us directly, where Allah's blessing goes to others through us. Sometimes we are told, well, look at Imam Sajjad. You have the entire, very thick book known as Sahifa Sajjadiya. He's only asking us to just ask from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As if there is no tawassul in Sahifa Sajjadiya and the du'as of the Imam. In Sahifa Sajjadiya, the 13th dua is very interesting. The title of that dua is Fi Talabil Hawaij Ilallah. Means this is a dua for seeking our needs or wishes from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Dua number 13. The 25th passage of this dua number 13, where Imam says, وَصَلِّ عَلَى مُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِهِ صَلَاةً دَائِمَةً نَائِمَةً لَا انْقِطَاعَ لِعَبَدِهَا وَلَا مُنْتَهَى لِأَمَدِهَا. Here is very interesting. After saying the salawat, that Allah shower your blessings on Muhammad and his family, and he says, Salatan da'imatan namiya, a salawat which will be perpetual, wouldn't end from the beginning to the end. وَاجْعَلْ ذَلِكَ عَوْنًا لِي وَسَبَبًا لِنِجَاهِ طَلَبَتِي. And Allah, make this salawat a help for me and a cause for granting my request. Even this salawat itself, Imam is saying that, oh Allah, make this salawat a way of helping me in fulfilling my hajat that I'm asking from you. If this is not wasila, then what is it? Innaka wasi'un kareem. And then the dua continues. وَمِنْ حَاجَتِي يَا رَبِّي. And oh my Lord, my hajat that I have with you. Then it says kada wa kada. And then it says, after mentioning your wish and your desire, then go into sajda and continue the dua. And what is the dua? فَضْلُكَ آنَسَنِي. Oh Allah, your bounty has comforted me to talk to you. وَإِحْسَانُكَ دَلَّنِي. And your beneficence has shown me the way. Shown me the way to do what? How to ask from you. Because then it says, فَأَسْأَلُكَ بِكَ. Oh Allah, I ask you in your own name. وَبِمُحَمَّدٍ وَآلِهِ. Not only in your name, but by Muhammad and his family. Salawat padne. I ask you, أَنْ لَا تُرَدَّنِي خَائِبًا, that you do not send me back with a disappointment. Fulfill my wish and my hajat. This is where we see that Muhammad and Ala Muhammad are being included there when we are asking our hajat. And this is the meaning of wasila, through them, through their name, that we plead to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.